about a year ago, or I don't know, it feels like a year ago, but maybe it was 6 months. I don't know, it's been a while. But I had an idea to build an electric bicycle. So rather than buy what was on the market, because they were like limited to like 30 miles an hour, 28 or something like that, I thought, you know, when you look at it, you can find kits to turn a bicycle into an electric bicycle, and they have more power and don't really have the speed restrictions that the, you know, already manufactured electric bikes on the market have. So I bought a fat tire mountain bike, one of the cheap ones. I mean, you know, if you get on the internet, you can look, like say Amazon. I didn't really care about the bike quality so much because I had no intention of pedaling it. I found a kit, and due to supply chain issues and, you know, constant, you know, stuff being stuck in containers, it just never came together. But I did buy the bike. So I've abandoned the whole, you know, electric bike conversion, at least for now. And this bike has been sitting here in this box in my shop forever. I don't remember where I bought it. I don't know what it's called. I don't even remember what color. I don't remember anything about this bike except for it was a cheap, you know, fat tire bike. I thought I got it on Amazon, but I looked through my history and I don't see where I made that purchase. And it was probably around 300 bucks. So this is not an expensive bike. If you look at the box, you know, it's proudly made in China, and it says it weighs basically 50 pounds. It's not like that bike. So you see where I'm going here. But we're gonna put it together today. All right, so I got the tape cut and the lid open. We're gonna pull it out. I do see that I ordered the color black. I don't know if it's aluminum or steel. I just don't remember anything about it. Now, usually bikes like this come like kind of mostly assembled. You know, I mean, the cranks are in. I mean, usually you just have to straighten out the handlebars, but we're gonna go through it because they're never really assembled with the greatest of care. There's a lot of adjustments to make and whatnot, but I'm gonna get it out and get it in the rack, and we'll start going through it. All right, it's in the rack. I have not, I mean, I did take the wheel off. It was zip tied to all this. It is heavy, for sure, which, I mean, it's what you'd expect. It's a cheap Chinese fat tire bike. I mean, it is every bit as cheap as you would expect it to be. It has some cheap, snow bike fork on it. I would have preferred this just be a rigid fork. To me, there's, on a fat tire bike especially, no advantage to having really a fork, at least a suspension fork, at least at this low quality level. A rigid suspension would have been better, and it would have shaved some weight. You get no quick release skewers. This is a bolt-on axle. Same in the back, obviously. Oh, comes with a kickstand. That's how you know you have a superior bike. Shimano Tourney. So, bottom of the barrel. It's okay. I'm not complaining, because, you know, I know that's what you get it, 300 bucks. But anyway, we're gonna get all this crap off of it and start going through it. All right, so there it is. All the packing's off. Doesn't look too bad. However, I have never seen this before, and it is freaky. If you follow the top tube, now obviously it's got a little bit of curvature to it, and I have seen that occasionally. But look at where the headset is at. The top tube, I mean, they welded it. It's like on a normal bike, this would be up here, and they would have welded the two frames, the down tube and the top tube would have come together at the headset. They just said, hell with it. And they cut it and closed it, and it is freaky. I mean, this is what it would normally look like. You see, I mean, see how the top tube, I mean, wow. Wow, so freaking weird. I mean, it is aluminum. Some sketchy shit. Alright, let's put it together. It is not aluminum. After I said that, I was looking at the welds and I'm like, I don't know. Aluminum when welded looks different. Let's check it. So I put a magnet on it. Don't matter. You know, Rocky Mountain, they're kind of famous for making Reynolds steel frames. They're great. Ain't nothing great about this bike. It's just a cheap bike. Look at that. Quality. I love the kickstand. And then instead of saying Outback or Off-Road, oh no. This is a gangster version, man. Outroad. Outroad snow bike. And it says Outroad on the seat. Alright, love it. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and put air in the tires. The maximum air pressure's printed on the tires 30 pounds. It scares the hell out of me putting air in this junk tire, but let's see what we can get here. There's 7 pounds. Probably put 15 pounds in. So it's really important, if you're not used to doing this kind of stuff, to check the tire as you're airing it. I didn't do that, but I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. When you have a bicycle tire, really any tire, but particularly with bicycle tires, put a little air in it to get it to take some shape, and then look around the rim of the tire before you just start blasting air in it to make sure that it's actually seating in a uniform way. Because sometimes it can, the bead can drop down in the groove, or maybe it's a cheap tire like this one is, and it can start to have a bubble or a bulge here where there's extra material, and as you start putting air in it, once it gets a lot of pressure on it, that's just going to pop off the rim. It's going to blow out, and especially when it has a tube in it, the tube will come out too and pop. So you know, just look for that kind of stuff as you're going, just to be on the safe side. Anyway, we got about, what I put, 17 pounds in here. And then we'll put this on the bike. I'm gonna end up flipping this bike over in the rack, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the handlebars on it. The stem is perpendicular to where it should be, so we're gonna loosen this and move it into place. And we'll fine tune it later. Go ahead and snug it down a little bit. We're going to take our screws out. There we go. And our handlebars. Just roll right into place. You're gonna have to figure out all this tangling that's going on. I don't like it. Should be like that. Nope. Alright, let me figure this out. Alright. This thing is a mess. So I knew something was wrong, but it's way more wrong than I had anticipated. If you look here, well, first thing you notice is all these cables, like sticking way up here. They should route, they should come around the front and sweep up. Well, it's not just a matter of rotating this in a particular way, because what they've done is, and if you are a cyclist, then you can go check this on your bike. You'll see what I'm talking about. Your front brake is always the left hand. They have the brakes swapped. So if you squeeze on this one over here, it's actually the back brake. So the cables are routed in the wrong direction. And I'll have to figure the rest out as I go. I think once I take them off, I'll be able to flip this around and get the cables right, but maybe not. I may just end up redoing this whole thing. So, now what you can do, if you want, is undo the ferrule, pop the slug out that's on the end of the cable and drop it out, and you can now reroute it to the other handlebar, which I think that's probably what I'm gonna do. So, well, that is what I'm gonna do. What a shit show. All right, so we're gonna do that. And this is backed off all the way. So I need to get some slack here. I'm gonna thread this in. Try to get enough play to. So what you gotta do is, you'll notice in the, I'm trying to get this one. This is so hard to film and do all this. If you look here, there's going to be a slot in this ferrule. And there's also a slot in the backup nut, the locking nut. So you got to get them lined up. Then you got to pull this sleeve back and swing the cable through the slot, which it's not going to be that easy. You may end up having to take the Allen screw loose that's locking the cable on the brake, which is what I'm going to have. Nope, I got that one done. This is such cheap shit that doesn't want to. There we go. Alright, so now we'll just pull our stupid shit. It's all twisted in here. Alright, that one's free. Now we got to do it on the other side. What I really need to do is have this hold it, but I know I'm going to take it back off, so that's why I'm not doing that. So we're going to do the same over here. Pull it through. Try to get it to untwist. What a shit show. Alright, now that's free. Now, okay, there we go. So, I got the cables free on the brake levers, and then I just did this twirly action and unwrapped it. And now our shifting cables are routed, well, not really right. What should happen is this one should come out and go around over here and then back in, and this one should come out and go around over here and back in. I don't know how to get them to do that without disassembling the shifter. Well, we'll deal with that in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and put this cap on and lock this down. And I'm not trying to get it set right now. It's just a holder. We'll set the angle and tighten it and do all that. Fine tune it when it's on the ground. I just need it to stay in place. All right, so just to clarify, this cable comes out here and it's running right up to the shifter. What it should do is come out here and go this way around the headset and up to the shifter. So how are we going to do that? Well, at this point, we're going to take our grips off, slide this off, slide the shifter off, and then just push it around through there and then reinstall it. Now, these grips are going to come off easy. If they don't, a trick that you can do if you have an air compressor is get an air hose and blast air in here and get it to force air up under the grip, and that thing will come right off. And these are gonna come right off, so no big deal. Alright, so now we're gonna take our brake lever off. So technically, I could have left the cable attached. Are you serious? All right, these are the shittiest shifters I've ever seen, and they are actually held on with a Phillips screw. I don't even think Walmart bikes are that shitty. Alright, so we're going to go around now. We're going to come back home the way we're supposed to be. All this, I mean, putting it back on, like where do you put it? Man, we're just going to put it together and we'll fine tune it later. Alright, so I want this to be my front brake. So my front brake, really important to pay attention here. When you put the front brake cable on, don't route it behind the fork like that and then up. It's just going to come straight up the fork to the handle, just like that. That's the proper way to do it. Don't matter whether it's hydraulic or not. Now these obviously are not. Alright, same thing on the other side. Pull the grip off. Loosen the clamp, slide off the brake lever, remove the world's shittiest shifter, route the shifter between the top tube and the down tube and around the headset. Don't look. Here's my brake cable that goes to the front brake now. Don't go around it like this and capture it. Go behind it. I'm trying to make this bike better, not worse. All right, so the handlebars, I don't have quite enough slack here, so I'm going to loosen this up a little, slide my handlebars that way, put the world's shittiest shifter back on, and then try to get these back in here. Alright, handlebars are probably going to be like that, so snug this back down. Now, here's my brake cable for the rear brake. We're going to come around the front headset, behind the front brake cable, and reinstall. I think it'll be easier to put the brake cable back to the handle when it's not on here, because this little slug kind of wants to be in its own place, so you can roll the handle around your hand to get it to all line up. So I'm getting all the slots to line up, and then I'll drop that in the hole. There we go. So now we're back installed. The slug, if you look, it can only go in one way. Like if it's perpendicular to that opening, it won't drop in. So, oh shit. Remove the, okay. Got our shitty brake handle back on next to the world's shittiest shifter. I'll snug this down, like I said. When it's on the ground, you'll make the adjustments to fit your hands and do all that how you want to then. You can't really do that on a rack. Now you probably don't have a rack, so you're doing it on the ground anyway. If you want to, you can go ahead and stand over the bike and move everything around the way that makes you happy. Alright, so these cables are actually correct. So, alright, that's how it should be. Now, this is our rear brake, and this is our front brake. I can tell already that the cables need to be adjusted. There's way too much slack. I mean, it doesn't start hitting till like right here. You don't have no brakes. So what we're gonna do is adjust that. And we can do that right now. All right, so this is the way everything should be set up whenever you go to adjust all the extra excess cable out and get the tension set. You don't want this backed out all the way, right? So right now it's all the way in. We should back it out. I like maybe a couple of turns. Now this doesn't want to turn very well because it's garbage. So we're gonna try to get it to turn. All right, maybe about right there. Just a kind of a happy, not all the way down, really not even to the middle. That's me. And then this ferrule back here is also an adjustment. So you can, when you turn it like this, it's tightening things up. But we have so much slop here, we don't want to do that. So we're going to loosen this Allen screw. You don't got to take it out. It's just a clamp. It's pinching the cable. So we're going to loosen it and we're going to pull all of our sloppy cable down. Alright, so there it's loose. And you're going to push this down. Well, actually, if you want, you could just move it up a little. You'll have to do it however you like. What you're doing is getting rid of slop. All right. Now what's happening is, I don't know if you can hear it or not. So many things out of whack here. Put the chain up. All right. It's rubbing. One pad is rubbing. Now, so where's it rubbing? Well, you're going to look down here and you can see that the brake rotor, which is right here, here's the rotor, is actually rubbing on this outboard pad. And there's all the gap is on this side. So the way you adjust that is you loosen the caliper mount screws and squeeze the lever, and that will center this over it. Or you can just do it by eye if you want, but I found that doesn't really work very good. I don't know how anything's going to work very good on this low quality shit here, but we're going to give it a shot. You know, one of the problems I see is the caliper bracket is rubbing on the rotor too. So we got a lot of shit we got to move around here. So let's see what we can actually accomplish. The other thing, you need to make sure all this shit's tight anyway. It's the sketchiest bike I think I've ever seen. So, you know, I just rotate it by hand back here. It's mechanical brake. That looks pretty good, so I'm going to snug it down here. Our caliper bracket is no longer touching the rotor. Which is good. Alright, that's better. But not perfect. You can back this screw off on the inside and that'll move your rotor away. That's a lot better. I'm okay with that. It ain't perfect, but I don't know if perfect's achievable with this. I don't know. I think the Chinese no Americans will buy this and kill themselves on it, so that I think, I don't know, might be an ulterior motive here. Alright, now what? Well, let's put our wheel in, our front wheel. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take our 15-pound wheel and tire and we're going to drop it in the fort. Now, on this particular bike, because it's such a high quality bike, we don't have quick release axle skewers. You got a actual threaded axle. In case you don't know, and it should be self-evident, but I'll just tell you, these little paws here, when you put the axle in, this slides over the axle, and this little finger, there's a hole in your dropout on the bottom of your fork that goes in. It's just a safety keeper. We're going to slide this in. We're going to slide our rotor through the caliper, and then drop this down into the axle dropout. All right, there it is. Now my bike rack doesn't want to. Thing is so heavy. It's falling away. Anyway, I'm gonna put this on. Put a little keeper on. Our nut on. Alright. You're going to want to make sure that the wheel is fully seated in the dropout. The best way to do that is with it on the ground. So just don't necessarily do it the way I did it, because I have this rack. In this case, it's 16 millimeters for this setup. Wow. Okay. Holy shit. All right, look at this. This is great. All right, I got a light. I don't know if you can tell or not, but look at the overall position of the brake rotor. It's actually bent over. It is pressed so hard against the caliper that it's bending the rotor. I can't even turn the wheel. Look at this. The wheel will not even turn. So, just like we did on the back one, we're going to adjust it. That was crazy. Alright, so I'm gonna do like I did before. Just gonna center the caliper. This really is the shittiest bike I've ever seen. I'm not exaggerating. And not because they threw it together. I mean, that's not what makes it shitty. It's just shitty because it's shitty. Alright, so it rubs a little. I don't know why or where. I'm gonna back off this. I'm not gonna get distracted by that just yet. Alright, let's squeeze the brake lever. And I can tell it is flexing the caliper. And I don't really care. right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and reposition the bike on the rack. We're gonna air up the back tire, haven't done that yet. We'll put the pedals on it, and then we'll start fine tuning the shift derailleur. And because I'm sure there's no way it's right. No way. All right, let me get there. Now look, exactly what I was telling you earlier. When you're airing up these kind of tires and they're completely flat, a perfect example. You want to pay attention to how the tire is seating on the rim. Because if you don't, and you start getting a lot of pressure in here, you're gonna hear a boom. You know, you gotta pay attention to both sides. Looky here. Look at that. It's coming out. See that? Look at the other side. So if I kept adding air, well, that's gonna be a problem. So we're gonna deflate it. And we're gonna reposition this tire. All right, I'm gonna have to spend some time with this. All right, I took the valve stem core out to get all the air out. Now I want you to see how much play there is, this tire around this rim. So this is going to be a challenge to get this to go on without being a problem. Well, it is going to be a problem, I'm sure. I'm going to put this core back in here, and then we'll just add a little bit of air and try to manually position the tire on the rim. It's going to be awesome. See, we have a gap over here. just gonna have to be careful and really pay attention as you air it up. I mean, right now we're registering 0 pounds. There's 6 pounds. All right, back to it. So, seems to be going okay. We got 7 pounds in there, which is a little bit. Let me go look at the other side. Yep. That's 15 pounds. I'm gonna leave it there for now. All right, now we're gonna put our pedals on. And all right, so when you buy open the box, there'll be this box inside, dump it out, your pedals. And I don't know why there's 2 sets of pedals. If you don't have any tools, they send you an awesome tool kit. Look at this. That is so not, man, that is cool. I mean, wow. Look at this screwdriver. Ooh. Oh, it's even a flip-flop screwdriver. Look at here. Wow. That is, I'm taking this shit to work. That's awesome. They give you caps to go over your axle nuts. So, very cool. Now, bike pedals are usually 17 millimeters, so let's see what these are. Nope. Looks like they are 15, so I mean, I'll give them credit for that. Everything else on the axle nuts are also 15. So we're gonna put these on. They are labeled left and right. So there's that. Which one is this one? This is the left. Alright, pedals are on. They're junk, as you would expect. Alright, there we are, pedaling away. Now let's see what gear we're in. All right, it says first gear. So let me get things set up where the camera will be on the derailleur. All right, so first I'm just gonna go through the gears and see what happens. Should go to second. Did not. There's first. There's second. Kind of wants to go. It went. Let's go to third. It's going. I'm shocked. All right. It went to the bottom. All right. So let's go back up. We made it to the top. Now it doesn't really like going all the way to the top. We can adjust that. Let's look at the derailleur on the chain ring down here. Now right now it's in the very bottom gear. In case you don't know, when you have a bicycle that has 3 chain rings, you should always run in the middle chain ring, not the bottom. When you're in the middle chain ring, the rear derailleur can swing the chain from the very top to the very bottom without any problems. It doesn't really like being, you know, really counter to itself. So you're in the middle chain ring, you want to go faster, then you'll shift to the outside chain ring, the big chain ring on your crank, and then your rear derailleur can go ahead and happily drive the chain down to the lowest gear so you can go to the higher gears. You should never have it in the lowest gear back here and the highest gear up here on the front chain ring, or vice versa. So that's the ideal operating setup. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and see how it shifts up front. All right, pretty good actually. The front derailleur is not actually indexed. You just kind of swing it through until you're happy with it. So what I notice is that when it's in the very lowest gear, super low, as it says on here, this high quality gear setup, it kind of keeps clicking and popping. So what that tells me is that the upper limit is set so tight that it's there, but it kind of doesn't want to be there. And you have limits because without them, you could actually drive the chain off the gear. It could drop back behind here. That's actually why this plastic thing is here, to keep it from getting really hung up in the spokes. So now these aren't labeled. This one should be high and low, so we're gonna adjust this and try to make that stop. And you know, I haven't done this in a while, so I might get it wrong. Alright, pretty good. Alright. Let's move along. Alright, well there it is. It's quite the behemoth. So, I'll tell you that whenever you've got a bicycle seat, well, assuming everyone has a bicycle seat, but when you get a bicycle seat and you're setting it up, there's an ideal place for the seat. And the seat, basically, you would start at level. So if it's level, and then you'll loosen it up and rock it down like one click. It should be slightly nose down, not a lot, but just a little taper. And you fine tune that to your liking, but that is the general rule. So let's see what we got here. Definitely not nose down. This is put on with nuts, of course. No idea what size. Probably 12 or something. Let's try 12. Oh no, it's not 12. Try 13. Yeah. Not really. So everything else is metric, but this. So we're gonna go down right there. So, all right, so there you go. We're going to start there. Now, we're going to move over to here, and we're going to fine tune this setup here. I'm going to go ahead and lower the seat. I think. Oh my heavens. Alright. So, oh, wrong one. I'm going to go ahead and make sure these are tight. That one is not. But I had them loose earlier. I'm just going to kind of walk them down. Alright. And then, the next thing I do is I look right over the stem, down to the top of the tire, and make sure we're actually straight. If you're not, then you loosen this, tweak it. We're good here. Then I'm going to make sure my handlebar is centered in the stem. And it's not. Good heavens. The world's shittiest bike. So we're gonna loosen these. You don't have to do all 4 of them. But when you walk this cap down, you want the same gap up top as the bottom. So like don't just tighten the bottom ones until they stop and then start tightening the top one. They should equally put pressure on the handlebar. So that one's loose. Okay, now we're loose. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna slide this over, and then because these have a slight rise to them, you can turn them to your liking. I always turn them a little bit past level. That's what I do. And then we'll tighten them down. Now we're going to tighten them like final tighten. Like that, final tighten. I like that. A nice ring to it. Final tighten. All right, so there's that, and there's that. Now on a higher end bike, you know, I would use it, well, I wouldn't actually, but you should. I mean, you can. There is a torque for these, and especially if you have a carbon fiber handlebar, all this has to be perfect. And when you clamp it down, you need to use a torque wrench and all that, because you don't want to crack or crush the carbon fiber tube. Okay, so then I always tilt my levers down to a place where I like them, and then we're gonna have to, and I'm just gonna force them down, and then I'll tighten all this up later. So that's how I like everything set up. Our rear brake, it's got a lot of throw in the handle, so I'm gonna adjust that with our stupid unfriendly adjustment collar. Oh my goodness, tons of travel. I don't like that. So anyway, at this point, it's just down to fine tuning. And we've already gone through pretty much how to do all that. So we can adjust this out, and that'll help. If you start adjusting too much, well, you just put all this back down, close all the gaps, take your Allen screw and pull the slacks through and get you back where you want to be. Yeah, that's good. All right, that's it. Outroad monster crap bike. So look, there are companies out there that make fat tire bikes. That's really what you're into. Like I said, I bought this with the intention of turning it into an electric bike. Supply chain issues and whatnot, it's been sitting here in my shop for a long time, and it was time to put it together. So if you buy the cheapest fat tire bike you can get, like pretty much I did, they are nothing like the quality bikes that you can get. So don't let, like, if this is your first venture into this realm, you're not really a cyclist. I mean, I used to be. I'm not really anymore. You can tell by looking at me. I'm about as behemoth as that bike. But if you're not really, you know, that familiar with the higher end cycling options and you think this looks cool and you get it, this is in no way a representation of what you can really get. You're going to pay money for it, but it's going to be lighter. It's the fit and finish is going to be perfect. You're not going to see any of this goofy, man, golly. They actually did that on purpose. If I ever saw that, I would think, oh, somebody made a mistake. No, they really did that. So, yeah, it's just weird. Who knows what's going on there? Anyway, there you go. Fat tire bike and how you go through one.